Hey, how are you, team? How's it going? So I want to be great. Greatness is my journey, and I think greatness is the journey of every human being. What does greatness mean? It means alignment. It means congruence, consistency between who you are and what you want to be. And that's our calling. So we have this unique identity. We have a unique blueprint that is driving us. And, that's what we call our calling. And it's telling us constantly as a registrar, what to do, what we should be doing. And greatness is about being consistent with that and actioning that all the time. So greatness is my journey. Greatness is why I'm here. And to be great is the ideal in every moment, in every second of every hour of every day. So that's the goal. And, we have a battle between our natural state, what is our physical being, and our spiritual state, our higher state, our ideal being. And the journey is to get to realization. And so I believe the only way we can get or become great is through the acting of or the inaction of willpower. And willpower is what I call the umbilical cord between ourselves and the higher power. So when we exercise will, we start changing action in our existence into the universe. So that's where change happens from the ideal to the physical. And realization of the fact that you've been created, realization of the fact that a higher power does exist, having certainty in that belief. And so you can't have certainty in belief in the higher power on faith alone. A lot of people believe that, the higher power exists because they have faith in that belief. I'm of the opinion that, you need evidence. And it's only through evidence that you can basically understand that the higher power exists. And sometimes the evidence isn't the evidence that you can directly see, but that makes intellectual sense, meaning that you've put together a framework of thinking that allows you to conclude rationally that a higher power exists. So it's not something that is without reasoning, and it's not something that's called blind faith, but it's a process of deduction to a conclusion. So the first thing you have to do to be able to understand or believe or realize that a higher power exists is observation. When you look outside and you look at this universe and you see everything around you, do you see order or disorder? That's the question. Is it organized or disorganized? Are you here by chance? Is everything random, or has it been designed? And so when I look at the universe and I look at everything in terms of properties and patterns, I can't see how through randomness properties and patterns can exist. So, there was conjecture in the earlier civilizations in terms of their belief that the earth was flat. So from their perspective, there were gods, moon gods, sun gods, you had the Greek mythology. And so there was a creation of ideas about a deity through faith, with no there was no substantiating those points of view. But then you had people who observed that there were spheres on the Earth, the sun and the moon and the planets were spheres. And could it possibly be that we are also like that, similar to that we're actually on a sphere? And then they do the calculation and the mathematics behind it, and they deduce that it's more than likely that we are on a sphere, and then they measure from their maths, the movement of the planets, and everything seems to be accurate. So then from that kind of matter of faith that the Earth is flat, we get to a factual point that, based on the data, it is likely that the Earth is round and that we're spinning around the sun, and the moon is spinning around the Earth. And so then that randomness that was perceived to be random is actually patterns and properties. And so what was not known became known. And that is what I see. I see organization and pattern and properties in the universe. And what I don't understand, what is perceived to be random, I believe is just knowledge that we are currently not able to discern, and we have to get to through scientific truths. So when I observe everything, there is order and organization. And then when I see that order and organization, I have to conclude that wherever design exists, then in that situation there's always been a designer. And so I have to also conclude from my observations that there is likely to be a designer, but it's only a likelihood, it's not a fact. And so the next stage is, well, I have to recognize myself within that equation, that not only does everything else exist, but I also exist within that equation. So if the Big Bang did occur, and we have basically mathematical data that pretty much proves that it did happen, then I am from stardust. My existence, Rahman here, I exist because I came from stardust. Now, if I came from stardust and I evolved over time, and now I'm in a situation where I'm talking to you, and you are also from stardust, so we can be from two different parts of the universe, and now we see each other, we talk to each other, and we're having an intellectual discussion, a conscious discussion about the fact that we exist from stardust, and that we are fully aware that we are from stardust. Then that doesn't make sense to me. How can something that is inanimate, unconscious, get to a stage of consciousness where it becomes aware of its own existence, and that it was produced randomly? It's not possible. So I can't see myself as being a random event. I'm conscious, I'm having a conversation. So for me, the highest proof that a higher power exists is me. I'm exhibit A, I'm the evidence. So for example, if you look at people talking about let's say a rabbit talking, and we know rabbits don't talk. It's not possible, it's impossible. We've never seen a rabbit talk. But then, in our situation, the situation of humans, we're like that. When you hear somebody say rabbits talk, you don't believe them. When you see rabbits talk, then you're more likely to think that is a fact. So when you see other human beings or other things being organized, that's equivalent to, with design and patterns and properties. You think that's the equivalent to a rabbit talking. But when you're actually talking yourself, and you're that inanimate, or were that inanimate object, that stardust, it's the equivalent to you talking. You're the rabbit that's actually talking, so you can't deny yourself. So you can't deny the idea of a rabbit talking. Do you get what I'm saying? So I am the proof of the fact that a higher power does exist. So that's my own my own rational thinking, my own deduction, my own conclusion. I exist, and I'm not a matter of faith. There's no faith in the fact that I exist. I am here, and I'm conscious, and so that gives me the proof that a higher power exists. And once I understand that a higher power exists, that means I've been designed. I'm not a random event. And with everything that has been designed, basically in that situation, everything that has been designed has a purpose. So the question really is more about what's my purpose. And I think, like I said, the journey, to cut the story short, is that the journey for every human being is to seek and achieve greatness. And so within this universe, what we've been positioned to achieve is realization, awareness, recognition of the fact that we exist. And then our journey is to recognize within that there is purpose. And our purpose is expression, the expression of ourselves to our highest form. So our highest form is our deepest form as well. And so to express ourselves, we have to take action. So our journey in life is to fully express ourselves through action. And the issue for us is that we have resistance. Part of the equation is that we're in a physicality. We're physical beings, and our blueprint, our calling is spiritual. So we have to enact and take action on our calling, and that brings in resistance, because to push in the physical is harder than in the spiritual. And so the journey is to exercise willpower. And so the way to exercise willpower is when you have certainty of a belief in something. And the fact is that we can't be motivated alone on belief in ourselves as humans being the center of the universe. That's false thinking, because I've explained why I believe that we aren't random. So if you have the idea or belief that we are a random event, then that isn't power to truth. That is not something that can drive you to right action. Right action is based on the fact that something higher and greater created you. So to move through resistance is to exercise willpower, is to gain certainty. And you gain that certainty through realization of the higher power, and your recognition that if a higher power exists, then it's all-knowing, all-wise, almighty, all-powerful, the sovereign, supreme, just, but also the determiner. And so you understand that with determination there is death, and we observe that all human beings die. So there is a shortness to life. And so when you have a shortness to life, it's not possible for you to believe that you are in charge and you're powerful, because in order for death to exist, you have to have been created. You never created yourself. You didn't have a choice in your existence, right? But also, as much as life is a creation, death is also a creation, and you don't really have a choice in determining your death. Obviously, there is suicide, but let's talk about that as a separate subject. But the fact is, no one really wants to exit from this universe out of a conscious choice, and so you don't determine your death. And that means that you're not in control. There's something that more powerful, higher, above, that is in control. And so the point is there that once you have that realization, that certainty of belief in the higher power, you get humility, you get an awareness of your insignificance, and that you're not in charge, you're not in control, and you almost have to relinquish, let go of your kind of control or belief in yourself, and you have to give yourself up, give yourself in, gain awareness, realization, relinquishing. Some people call it submission, but you have to acknowledge that with certainty that there is something more powerful than you that governs and operates the universe. And when you have that realization and you're in that state of humility, then you're basically out of the equation. You take the noise that you are out of the equation, and you can pick up the signal of the truth of nature and the higher power, and you're able to better pick up that signal and connect to that signal, and that is called intuition. So in order for us to be able to take action on our calling, we have to remove the noise that we are from the equation, and then get into a situation where we have access to the signal in the clearest possible way, which is intuition, and then enact that intuition. And because we're so certain in our belief in a higher power, in the shortness of life, and that we are going to exit, then we have to maximize. So there's motivation to maximize each moment, each second, and that motivation drives us, compels us to take action. And so then we become congruent between who we are, right, and what we do, what we are. So who we are, our calling, our ideal state, our driving force, and our what we are, our actions. And so that congruence is what I call greatness. So our journey is about achieving greatness, and I want to be great, and I want every human being to search for their greatness and recognize their greatness, and enact and be their greatness in every moment, in every second, in every hour. That's the meaning in life. That's where we get our meaning in life, is by living, by truly being. And so there are obstacles in our way, and all those obstacles are internal. It's how we think. Those are the issues for us. And so it's about reflection, pondering, and getting to our truths. And we need to get through our truths, and sometimes we have to get uncomfortable. We have to go through challenge, we have to go through difficulty, and that sharpens us up. That makes us question things, and through that questioning we get to our truth, we get to certainty through experience and through wisdom. And so that is the journey of life, I believe. And our journey is to be great. And so I would like for everybody to be on that journey of greatness, of awareness, of action, and of delivering yourself, being, and living. I think that's good for now. I just wanted to kind of express those points. If you have any, feedback, any comments on any opinions on what I'm saying, please leave them in the comment section below. Certainly, I want to create a community. I want to get a two-way conversation going. I don't know all the answers. I'm just expressing what I've basically deduced and thought through to date. And if you have alternative opinions, maybe you can add to the conversation and put your perspective forward. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye now.